Hey everybody, this is Vic Moss from the Drone Service Providers Alliance, and I've been wanting to put this video out for a little bit, and I finally have time today. It's November 29th. That's important. I'll tell you why in a minute. And I have time today, so I thought I'd do it. Basically what I want to do is I want to do as short a video as possible when it comes to this. I just want this to be a reference for people that start talking about this theoretical DJI ban. And the fear and the paranoia that's going on in this right now. I want to put this out. I want people to be able to reference this and get the facts as they are presented today. Again, it's the 29th of November, and it's a pretty fluid situation, obviously. If you paid any attention at all, you'll know it. So I want to put just three real quick little facts here. The first really is, and I'm just as guilty of this as everybody else, so I'm not, you point the finger at somebody and you have four more pointing back at you. So don't use the word ban anymore, please. Let's see if we can get away from doing that. The more accurate word is restriction at this point, and even restriction in the future. There is no ban in place right now. There are certainly restrictions for government use. The whole Customs and Border Patrol issue, we're not even going to talk about today, but that's another issue, so there's a restriction there. There is no ban. So let's try and get away from that. I'm going to even go out on a limb here and say there's not even going to be a future ban. I just want to say that right off the bat. So the second thing I want to talk about here, I want to dive a little, just very deeply, very little deeply, I should say. Is that a word? It is now. Into Section 1709 of the 2020 Fiscal Year 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. And that's the NDAA, 1709 of the NDAA, just to make it a little more brief. Basically what that does is, pulling it up over here, it gives a deadline of December 23rd of this year to have an appropriate national security agency go ahead and do the audit. So it's in section, looking this up here real quick, the appropriate agency, the appropriate national security agency actually is the term used. They're talking about Section 9 of the Secure and Trusted Communications Network Act 2019. And what that means is either Department of Homeland Security, Department of Defense, Office of Director of National Intelligence, the National Security Agency, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So if you got DHS, DOD, DNI, NSA, and the FBI are the ones who need to do that. No one's done that yet, obviously, which I'll get to in just a minute. So if that doesn't happen, then, as mentioned, we will have a number of our gear, shall we say, put on the FCC, Federal Communication Commission's entity list, basically, covered list. It's called a few different things. But what that means is any future drone communications equipment, the actual wording is communication or video surveillance equipment. That's the term they use in the NDAA 1709. So anything covered under that. That would mean any new models that require a new FCC license will not be granted that license. That means that it'll be illegal to import them. Import them. That's important. And so that's what would happen on December 23rd if we don't get the audit. Now, there's things in the work where we may be able to get by that. I'm not even going to get into that right now. I just want to talk literally about what would happen and the facts under as they submit right now. So that's what would happen. So it would be any future models that require a new FCC license. And by the way, it's not just DJI. I'm going to read this here. It is DJI. Section B, communications and video surveillance equipment produced by Autel Robotics. C, with respect to any entity described in paragraph A and B, DJI and Autel. Any subsidiary, affiliate, or partner of the named entity, any entity in a joint venture with the named entity, any entity in which the named entity, a lot of entities there, has a technology sharing or licensing equipment. So that means anything made by DJI and Autel under that heading, and anybody who makes stuff with their permission, with their licensing, with their partnership, anything like that. So that's what is covered. Okay, it's not necessarily just a DJI issue. Obviously, as the largest part of the market, they're going to be affected the most. Now, the other thing I want to talk about real quick before I get into some of the fallacies is last month in October, the FCC, so the Federal Communication Commission, unanimously voted itself the power to revoke current FCC licenses. Now, that does not affect, as of today, does not affect DJI, Autel, anybody, any of those things right now, because they are not on the FCC covered list. So that's not an issue. December 23rd, they may be, again, but that's currently right now and not an issue. It's also on a case-by-case basis. So just because they voted to give themselves the power to do that, which editorially, I'm going to editorialize here a minute. I'm not quite sure how a government agency votes itself power, but whatever. It doesn't affect us as right now. Okay, so let's not worry about that. Worst case scenario, FCC does this. We have no new licenses, obviously. If they put us on, or put us by our industry on the entity list, then no new models. And then if they revoke current models, then we would be flying under FCC violation, I think is a nice way to put that. Violation of FCC regulation may be a better way to put that. So let's talk a little bit, some of the facts of the thing. If anybody who says they know exactly what's going on or what's going to happen is they're speculating, I think is a nice way to put it at this point. Some of the speculation is educational speculation. I hope I fall into that category. I know a number of influencers, I hate that word, and YouTubers and things like that also fall into that category. And there's also a lot of hearsay speculation. We see a lot of YouTubers falling under that category of speculation. They may not necessarily have ill intent. Ulterior motives maybe is a better way to put that. And then the third category I'm going to put up here is the ignorant speculation. And we see that from, well, I'm not going to go there. That's not what this video is about. Stay on script here, Vic. So we it's up to us really to decide what the speculation is based on. Is it based on education, hearsay, or ignorance? So, but anybody that says, okay, we had, and I wish I knew about it at the time because I would have said something, but I didn't. We had somebody at the this year's commercial UAV Expo in Vegas telling their customers, this is a U.S.-based drone manufacturer, not the one you're thinking of because they weren't there. Telling their customers, it's a smaller one. I'd actually have not heard of them. Telling their customers that after the 23rd, then their DJIs won't be able to take off. So first of all, fact, lie. That's a lie, 100% a lie. If the FCC, big if the FCC revokes licenses, it will not let your drone take off. It will not forbid your drone from taking off. So first of all, right off the bat, no, that's not going to happen. Anybody who says that is false. Anybody who says that is just spreading fear and ignorance. I don't care which side of that speculation or which category of speculation they have. That's fear and ignorance. And I wish they'd quit. And if you see somebody doing it, tell them to quit. So that's not going to happen. The other thing that everybody's worried about is that DJI will brick their drones if this happens. Out of retaliation, or I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. But anybody who says that also is spreading fear and ignorance. Why? Let's look at it logically. Okay, why would a company like DJI, any company in the world, but why would DJI do something like that to their customer base? Because then what would happen is, let's say they do that to the United States. They won't. Let's say they do. We're going to play a game here. Then any other country could fear the same thing. And so that's going to hurt their sales. It's going to hurt their sales worldwide. I mean, we're not the only market for DJI. We're a big part of it. I think 20, 25%, something like that were the last numbers I heard. So we're a big part of their market, but we're not, there's other parts of the world that do this, that use their gear. So if DJI would do that to the United States, other countries would start fearing as much, and they would just lose so much support, so much trust from their customer base. So anybody who says that, It's full of beans. Let me put it that way. They don't know what they're talking about, and they just don't listen to them. That's all I can say. Don't listen to them. So that's not going to happen. As far as if the FCC does take this stuff away from us and retroactively revokes DJI licenses, let's put it that way. And I'll talk about why I don't think that's going to happen in a minute. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, but I am going to read the Merriam-Webster definition of civil disobedience. Civil disobedience, Webster defines this as refusal to obey governmental demands or commands, especially as a nonviolent and usually collective means of forcing concessions from the government. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm not telling anybody how to act, except I want to key the word professional there. Nonviolent as well. But if that's something you're interested in doing, I will say you will not be alone. Let me put it that way. But again, I don't think that's going to happen. I really honestly think that Brennan Carr from the FCC, he's the FCC commissioner, is not going to do that. And I will tell you why. Vic's opinion, no inside information, no nothing. Vic's opinion. 90+% of all first responder fleets are DJI or Autel. I mean, it's even more than that, but it's, well, 90 plus. It's 90 plus. Nobody, even a bureaucrat, nobody in their right mind is going to do something that would shut down first responder fleets. Because it would shut down first responder fleets. I mean, I know maybe some of the smaller agencies and some of the volunteers and things like that will just, civil disobedience. But if you're a big agency, you've got lawyers and you've got people that you need to answer to. And those are the people who make the decisions whether or not you can fly if you have an FCC revocation. So it would shut it down. And that would, and people say I'm overreacting when I say this, but that will cost American lives. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's way, way, way too many examples of DJI and Autel gear being used to save American lives. And so FCC is not, Carr is not going to do that. I would be floored if he did that. So I don't see it happening. Okay, I don't see that happening. So anybody who says that they know what's going on, including me, doesn't. Okay, again, speculation. FCC will not revoke. Well, let me try that again. The FCC, if they are on the list, it will not mean that we can't fly the drones we have. All it means is that any new model of drone, mic, gimbal, camera, anything that uses Bluetooth, anything that uses radio frequency, that requires a new FCC license, and they are model specific from what I've been told, will not be allowed to come into the United States, will not be allowed to be imported into the United States. That's not legal advice. I can't find anywhere that says it would be illegal to use it, just the import. But, if your license is revoked, that's another story. And DJI will not brick your drones. I promise you that. So this is, I'm coming up on 15 minutes, which is 5 minutes longer than I wanted it to be. So maybe I'll cut it down a little bit. But hopefully this will help dispel some of the fear, some of the rumors, and help people understand that we need to take action. There's no doubt about it. This is not a call to action, although I will have links down below about some of the things you can do. I just want this to be a reference for people who are so worried about, should I buy a DJI drone? And my answer to that is absolutely 100% yes. Buy a DJI, buy an Autel, buy an Anzu, buy a Specta, buy the X1, whatever that one. I can't think of the manufacturer off the top of my head. Buy them. If you can get them, buy them. You may have to get the Mavic 4 Pro or the Mini 5 Pro from outside resources, and obviously, thanks to the CBP, there's issues with importation on those. But do it. Get what you need to get to run your business, to run your first responder fleet, to have fun as a recreational flyer, because guess what? This would affect you as well. But anyway, I just hope this helps. If you see something somewhere online please share this video. I don't get clicks. I don't get paid. My channel's not, our channel's not monetized at DSPA. I don't even have my DSPA stuff up in the background here. It's just my office. So hopefully this helps, guys and gals. And as always, I can't sign off on anything without saying fly safe, fly smart. And to quote Mr. Reverdio, don't be that guy or gal, although it's almost always a guy. I promise you that. Thanks again. Until next time, be safe and don't stress.